What can I say about Yi's Memory of Celceta? No, honestly, this game is, to be blunt, my least favorite entry in the series. It's not a bad game, but it's just the most apathetic I feel about any game in this series. And to be fair, that's not entirely Falcom's fault. Sort of. So, see, back in the 1980s, while Ys 1 and 2 were successful, the original Ys 3 was a massive flop, and a half that really hurt Falcom's budget, so they more or less had to outsource Ys 4 to other companies with a rough draft of the plot while they worked on other games to recover their losses. And to be honest, the 90s were kind of the dark era of Falcom games. But Ys 4 has multiple different versions, including the old PC version, which had its only storyline and structure, the Super Nintendo version, which I consider the best version. Sure, Adol talks a bit too much, but the music slaps and it's treated more like a proper continuation of Ys 2's storyline, and I wish it was ultimately the one that they made canon. The PS2 version, which is its own special brand of atrocious, and if I hate myself enough, maybe I'll subject myself to one of those videos someday. And finally, Falcom made their own proper canon version of Ys 4, and since I know people love my pronunciation of this series, get comfortable as you're about to hear a 20-something complain about Wise IV Memories of Celceta. So how about that lead up? Well, it's pretty short honestly, and I'm gonna rant about it while I do it. Adol loses his memories and stumbles back into town, and this entire plot would have been resolved if Dogi was here. We were cock-blocked from having Dogi return as a party member, presumably for the rest of the series, because of a fucking amnesia plot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Celceta's story is a fucking mess because it's trying to adapt both the old PC and Super Nintendo plots with amnesia thrown in as a bonus, and yeah, it doesn't work very well. The main story ends up focusing around Adol regaining his lost memories, and to be fair, I actually like a lot of these scenes as they give more characterization to him, and I don't mind him talking since he's been doing that since 1989. However, in this game, nothing really matters. The entire plot's basically irrelevant and doesn't have much of an impact on the overarching narrative of the games. The only lasting consequence is we fight another Galba, which I guess kinda sorta is an overarching threat in the series, and there's one other thing. The other thing being Griselda is a major character in this game, and she returns with a minor role in Ys 8, which is kinda nice, but that's about it. Anyways, the mines are an easy tutorial dungeon as you'd expect, and the first boss is a comedic joke. Aldavas barely puts up any sort of fight, and he can't move from his spot. Then the game does something that's actually pretty cool. You're given two objectives you can choose to tackle in either order you like, which I do genuinely like. Now, looking at the map, you're going to be thinking that the forest is much closer and the river is a lot further away. No, not really. You have to go all the way around the forest to reach either destination, literally mapping out 30% of the world before you get to the second dungeon of the game. And it's just a case of go left to the river area or turn right to the forest area and complete the Lost Woods of your choice. On my first playthrough for this video, I went down towards the river because the Misty Ravine takes off 30 seconds to get through, while the Lost Woods takes multiple minutes and has multiple twists and turns. To be fair, you can go to the Ancient Burrow first and do Karna's storyline, and that will get you a few extra levels, but I'm gonna be real with you, it's not going to make a difference. Of course, if you head down to the river, you're gonna get locked up in a fishing village for poisoning the water supply, and we have to find a way to clear our name with Ozma's help, as we're now locked into this story arc and gain access to the next dungeon, the Sacred Beast Lair, aka the Water Temple. So the Water Temple sure is something. I don't hate it surprisingly, but it's nothing special. A lot of this level is just going around and finding blockages to break with Ozma's skill to break obstructions underwater with his spear. Character abilities is a gimmick that persists throughout this game, and it's kind of a cool on paper, really stupid in execution sort of thing. Because, really, it's just swap over to the character, and it's never hard, it's just a slight inconvenience, and having each action mapped to the same button just makes it a case of press that one button as that one character to do a niche thing. Ys 9's take on this, giving each character unique monstrum abilities, turned out so much better it's not even funny. Otherwise, the enemies here range from mildly annoying to mostly unremarkable, and your objective is twofold: to raise the water level and find the obligatory boss key, but this dungeon has it broken up into 3 separate pieces that you need to find. What is less than pleasant is this game's swimming controls. They certainly are swimming controls in a video game, and they sure do limit your capabilities. Look, I'm not saying they're awful horseshit, I'm just saying there's a reason why after this, they went back to Ys Origin's simple but effective swimming controls. Once you do enough running around and raising the water level, we have a mini-boss fight with the Volnik, and even if you come here first, this fight is pretty easy. He can't move too freely, and he only has one attack. It's a couple of variations of shoot water at you. He has a fair bit of health, but considering that each attack against him will hit 3 or 4 times, he's not really a threat, especially if you were to tackle the forest region first, and there's a reason why a lot of boss footage of this guy doesn't even last a full minute if they're properly leveled. I'm under-leveled, and it's still a joke. For your victory, you get the Water Dragon Scales, which allow you to dive underwater and not drown. I mean, thanks I guess, but the controls aren't doing any better. And from here, you just sort of explore new areas, open shortcuts, and open pieces needed for the boss key. It'd be pretty fun if so many enemies here didn't poison or paralyze you, and if the underwater combat didn't suck because it locked you out of using any skills and limited you to a basic one-hit combo. How riveting. That sure was a choice the game developers made, especially when enemies keep their same attacks both in and above water. This game doesn't even have proper voice acting, so I can't do funny cut-ins either, but eventually you'll make it to the end of the dungeon and it's time for the boss fight. The big boss at the end of the dungeon is Ouroboros, and I hate this fight. He's immune to your attacks, and he chases you around the circular arena with an awful camera. It's like King Boom Boo from Sonic Adventure 2 but underwater. The only way you can hurt him is to trigger the mines and have them explode somewhere in his body. But not only do the controls suck and the boss can rubber band to speed up to Mach 2 randomly and dodge the bombs, it's still kind of RNG heavy when the game gives you bombs to work with. Well, okay, it used to be. I did notice in Memoir, the remaster that was recently released for modern systems for this game, that the bombs seem to be far more common and consistent than before, but back in the day it was kind of remote or weird. But we still have to deal with the awful swimming controls, and it's a crapshoot how long the fight may take, but after a while, he'll flee at the sight of your mighty power as the descendant of brave Sir Robin who bravely ran away. Unfortunately for us, he saw the end of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and he knows Sir Robin gets launched into the sky at the end of the movie and is never seen again. Spoilers for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I guess. Well, Ouroboros... I can't fucking pronounce his name. Ouroboros sucks on land as well. Not only does he have a large amount of health for an early game boss, as he has not 1, not 2, but 3 health bars you have to chunk through, making him the only boss other than the second to last one of the game to have 3 health bars, which was definitely a choice the game developers made. But only his lantern actually takes damage unless he's been stunned. And you can't build up the stun gauge without hitting him, which means you have to hit the lantern. And you know where the lantern's located? Right next to where his mouth is, where over half of his attacks come from. Also in prime range of his fin slams and his water breath attack that has range across most of the arena and can do a good third of your health or more. This boss probably won't one-shot you, but he still hits very hard for this early in the game, when good healing items are quite uncommon. In fact, you have at most 3 potions that can heal for more than 100 HP. Okay, maybe slightly more than that, but not by much. And to get through it, well, you're just going to get worn down, and he can eat your party members, temporarily removing them from the fight as well, making this endurance test all the more grueling. So, what in the ever-loving fuck are we supposed to do here? So what exactly do we do to, well, prepare? Well, the obvious answer is to try and level up some, but good luck with that for how little experience most enemies in this game give. Really, we're going to need better gear. How do we get better gear exactly? Well, you can find some upgrades, but mostly through the power of capitalism, meaning we're going to need money, but enemies don't really give money when killed, instead dropping materials, which often don't sell for much. So first you need to synthesize stronger materials for armor, or you can just show your progress to Griselda, but that means having to deal with this game's annoying fast travel system. Okay, I'm going to rant about this for a second. See, in Celceta, you had to go to a guide stone in order to warp to other guide stones, and this is perfectly fine. We all know how bonfires work. However, you can only warp between guide stones of the same color for some reason, even though that wasn't a problem in earlier or later games in the series. In fact, Ys 7, you could warp anywhere. Ys Origins, you could warp anywhere, but Celceta, nah, we're gonna make it super annoying. Now you're stuck having to warp between guide stones of the same color, so you gotta warp to the blue guide stone in the Misty Ravine to head to the light blue guide stone in the forest exit to head to the yellow guide stone, and finally warp back to town to show Griselda your map. Why did they try to fix a system that wasn't broken in the first place? Oh, also, you're going to need to upgrade your weapons and armor, which means grinding for more monster materials. Lastly, I would definitely recommend have Ozma learn things like Crag Spear and Tiger Thrust. It'll be very useful in this game. Crag Spear is not going to do a lot of damage on its own, but, well, when the boss gets stunned, that's when you're able to do a ton of damage to the boss. And with the preparation done, this fight is still going to be a slog because only his lantern takes damage, and outside of his attack where he baits you into getting greedy, which your AI party members will succumb to if they're not set to evasion mode, it's going to take a long time to score some damage. But that's because you're not really meant to hit him outside of his baiting attack anyways. Instead, what you need to do is make use of Celceta's newly introduced flash step to dodge at the perfect time, so it will briefly slow down time so you can get a hit in, but even then Ozma is slow as shit to attack, so it's not exactly the best solution, and while I do appreciate them having flash step, it wasn't that well implemented until the sequel. So here's the big strategy we want to do. Whenever it looks like his stun gauge is starting to get high up and his weak spot is vulnerable, shotgun your super attack as early as you can. The damage is nice enough, but what we really want is to get that stun gauge up and close to full. After you shotgun the super, I recommend playing as either Adol or Durin, as they are quick enough to hit him one time without a perfect flash step, but with that we can stun the boss, and that's where the fun comes in. When he's stunned, his entire body takes damage all over, and now just swap to Ozma and spam the ever-loving shit out of Crag Burst. They can hit him many times over to deal real damage, and sadly though, his health is so high there's a good chance you'll fully charge the super again before the fight ends. It's gonna take a while. From here, it's a matter of, well, just doing the same thing over and over again. Don't bother guarding, just focus on flash steps to slowly chip him down in a boss fight that lasts the better part of 10 to 15 minutes if you're not over leveled and over upgraded. Even if you are, it's still going to take a while. I don't have some exasperated story here. This fight sucks because it goes on for way too long, and the swimming controls in phase 1 are kind of a crapshoot, and the fact that this can easily be your second dungeon is just kinda silly. You'd think the level discrepancy would be a hint, but most enemies aren't that high leveled. In fact, you can very easily take them out. But I don't know. The thing is, the enemies aren't really any harder here than they are in the other dungeon. It's just an unpleasant pain in the ass, and let's be honest, there's a good chance you'll stumble here first. This was the dungeon I went to first when I played the game for the first time, and I remember getting walled here for 2 days. I hate this boss, it sucks, and the dungeon's got a lot of problems as well. I really wish I could be more positive. It's weird, I love this series, but a lot of my most popular videos on Ys are me talking about the shittiest points of it. Kinda curious how the Oath and Felgana video is gonna do when we get to Gialva, because oh god, I am gonna have, probably gonna need a language warning for that one. Is now a bad time to say I don't like this game's boss music? And that's going to do it for this video. Add this one to the growing list of Ys games that have appeared in this series. It won't be the last one either, as I can already tell a certain annoying bug and a certain annoying bat will easily qualify for spots on this list in the future. And that's to say nothing about Ys 5, which I've started playing through for the first time. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. If you'd like to see more content of varying quality, consider liking and subscribing and hyping the video, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.
I don't know that!